Hey, good afternoon. This is Chef Paul Bringas, professor instructor at Joliet Junior College. I'm here today to do a few dishes, actually. We're going to do a nice, simple, slow-braised pot roast, and then we're going to take some of the pot roast and we're going to pull it, and we're going to make a nice pot roast pasta. So you're going to get a 2-for-1 today, a slow cooking method, and then something kind of to do later with the leftovers. So what I'm going to start with before we get to cooking is introduce you to a little something we use to flavor our stocks and our soups here at the college, and something that we teach the students here. And that is to make like a little bundle of aromatics. So what we have here is a little bit of cheesecloth. We have some fresh sprigs of thyme. We have some parsley stems. And we have a bay leaf. And I threw in 1 or 2 black peppercorns. So this is very easy. You can just get a piece of cheesecloth, and you want to just make a nice little bundle. So with a piece of butcher's twine, you wrap it around a few times, just like that. Make sure everything's secure. And this is going to flavor your stock or your soup. And then you don't have to go back later and pull out all the stems. So this is a really cool trick that we use, a really cool technique to flavor some of our dishes. So what we're going to start with essentially is I'm going to use a nice, beautiful Dutch oven, a cast iron Dutch oven. I'm going to take some chuck, which is from the shoulder area. It's really kind of tough, but it's also very flavorful. And it lends itself to a slow cooking method. The whole process from start to finish is probably, with your preparation, it's probably going to take about 3 hours. That includes about a 2 to 2.5 hour cooking time. So the preparation for this dish is not real time consuming or difficult. So the ingredients are going to be my chuck, which I'm going to season in a moment. We use some vegetables, which we call mirepoix. And the mirepoix is also there to help flavor either your soup or your stock. And this is generally 50% onion and 25% carrot and 25% celery. For this dish, and about 2 pounds of chuck, I'm going to use about half a cup of onion, a 1/4 cup of carrot, and a 1/4 cup of celery. So let's proceed. The first thing we're going to do, obviously, is we're going to season our meat on all sides. And I'm just using kosher salt. But it's really important to give it a good dusting of salt. And then some nice fresh black pepper. In the meantime, I'm heating up my pan so that we can give the meat a nice quick sear. Now, what we're trying to achieve is getting some really good color on all of the meat, on all of the sides. And what this is going to do is going to flavor your stock even more. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with our chuck, a little bit of oil. And the pan you want the pan to be smoking. Okay? And once that begins, we can start adding our meat. And that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that nice sizzle, because that's going to mean some flavor. So the process of browning the meat is an important process, and it's one you're going to want to take a little bit of extra time with. Make sure that you get all sides of the meat. Make sure that it's all nicely caramelized. And then we're going to remove it from the pot and add in our mirepoix so that we can brown that. So I'm going to go ahead and get this browned. And then in just a few minutes, we'll come back and we'll get our mirepoix browned. Okay. So while that's giving a nice color on it, we can talk a little bit more about some of the ingredients that we're going to use. So once our meat is nicely brown, it's got a really good crust on it, we're going to add our mirepoix into that fat, and we're going to also get this really nicely caramelized and beautiful. And again, what you want to try to achieve is that you're building flavor at every moment that you can. Then, once this is nicely browned, we're going to add some tomato paste, and the tomato paste is going to also help brown the vegetables, and it's going to give the dish some thickness and some acidity, and also some nice color. We're going to use red wine today, and you don't have to use an expensive bottle of red wine. Make sure you use about a cup of red wine for this dish, and also save the rest of the bottle for you to enjoy later with your pot roast. Okay, so we're going to remove my meat. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our vegetables. And we're going to go ahead and brown those just like we did the meat. And the more time you spend doing this process, the more flavorful your dish is going to be in the very end. So we call this slow cooking. Braises are something that are going to take a few hours, but the reward is very, very nice. So if you're thinking about culinary arts, I've been here at the college for about 12 years. This is my 12th semester. I'm one of the professors that runs the second floor restaurant here at the City Center. We also have another beautiful restaurant called Thrive that's on the first floor. I'm on the second floor here with my restaurant called Saveur. And we have students that are cooking twice a week for patrons and guests that we're open to the public now. We have about 25% dining, and we do really well with our carryout. So remember us if you're in the area, because the students really need your support. They need to be cooking every day so that they can work on their skills and become our next professional chefs and bakers. Okay, so that looks really, really good. I'm going to go ahead and add my tomato paste to the dish. And we're going to do a method that's called pince, which means to brown. And again, you want to take your tomato paste and get some nice color on it. Let it actually get a nice color of deep brown. And again, it's just going to be adding layers of flavor. Okay. That looks great. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our red wine. And like I said, we're going to use about a cup or 8 ounces of red wine. So let me open that up. And this is called deglazing. But what we're going to do is we're going to add the red wine to the pan, and we're going to scrape any of those yummy bits of stuck on food or beef. And that's going to also lend... Well, that smells great. That's also going to lend some nice color and flavor to the dish. So you want to actually scrape the bottom a little bit, get all of that, what we call fond, which is all of that yummy product that's stuck to the bottom of the pan, and we want to work that into our sauce. So once that wine is reduced all the way, we're going to introduce our meat back into this pan. And then we're going to add some beef stock that's going to come up about 2/3 of the way up the side of the pan. Okay? And you can use, this is a beef stock that we made here at school. It's a really beautiful, rich beef stock. But you can do also very well by using a store-bought stock, as long as it doesn't contain a lot of sodium. Because as this dish cooks down, and as you season it, you can always add more salt later. But if you use a very, very salty stock in the beginning, you're going to end up with a really salty and probably not a very tasteful finished dish. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this come to a simmer. I'm going to cover the pot, and this is going to go into a 350 oven for approximately 2 to 2.5 hours. You want the meat to be like really nice and tender. So I'm going to add my little sachet, the one that I showed you before. And this is going to help flavor the stock. And now that things are coming to a simmer, I'm going to cover it with the lid, and we're going to put this in a nice hot oven, and we'll let it take a nice little rest. Wait till the meat gets nice and tender. And then we're going to dive right into our second dish, which is a really favorite of mine called pot roast pasta. So we'll get back to that in just a few minutes. So we have our pot roast out of the oven. It took about 2.5 hours, and it looks amazing. So what we've done is I've shredded a little bit of pot roast. It's really beautiful and nice. I added some of the liquid that we cooked it in and braised it in, And right now I'm just simmering that just to get it to a nice temperature. And then in the meantime, we're just going to take this is some San Marzano tomato sauce. It's a really delicious light sauce that we use in our restaurant. And it's basically San Marzano tomatoes that are crushed, olive oil, salt and pepper, a few cloves of crushed garlic, and then a few leaves of bruised basil. And we just use that to perfume the sauce to get some nice flavor. These tomatoes are beautiful. They're really nice and sweet. But you can certainly at home, especially if you're in a pinch and you have hungry people to feed, you don't have a lot of time, you can certainly use a store-bought, one of your favorite tomato sauces that you use. So I always like to start in the pan with just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. It's going to just add a little extra flavor to the sauce. And then I'm going to go ahead and spoon in my beautiful San Marzano tomato sauce. And I see a couple nice cloves of garlic, and I'm going to just leave them right in the pan. Okay, that looks good. So let's just let that simmer for a moment. We can season it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of fresh black pepper. And then we're just going to use some cooked penne pasta. And you can use really whatever type of pasta you like. I've had it with spaghetti, linguine, penne, rigatoni. So really, whatever your favorite pasta is great for this dish. And we're just going to give it a little toss so that the pasta will coat, or the sauce will coat the pasta. Get everything nice and hot. And then we'll plate the dish for you. So it's really nice. If you want to make mashed potatoes with your pot roast, that's perfectly fine. It's also very good with polenta and other types of starches. But I like it especially with pasta because we love pasta on Sundays at my house. So this is one of our go-to dishes, especially when the weather's kind of chilly. You still have time. We're probably going to get some cold weather here for a few weeks. And still a good time to do some indoor cooking. I'm just going to add some parsley that I shaved just to brighten it up a little bit. And you can certainly add things like fresh julienne or chiffonata fresh basil. If you like oregano, red chili flakes would be really nice in this dish as well. So you can kind of tailor it to your liking. There's really no wrong or right reason or right way just to make this dish. You can even take the pot roast and make a nice sandwich if you like. A pot roast sandwich is really yummy. Okay, so that looks really good. And we're going to just take it to the plate here. And I'm just going to nicely spoon in my pasta, a nice portion. You'll be amazed that with the pasta, it's not going to be an overly heavy dish. You're not just eating a lot of heavy starch and meat. This is really could be like a really very nice luncheon with a nice French bread, a little green salad. One of my favorite salads is just some mixed greens with a little olive oil and lemon, some salt and pepper, and maybe a little bit of fresh shaved Parmesan cheese. And you'll have a beautiful, light, satisfying dinner. I'm going to take some of this beautiful pot roast. It really smells good. And you can see how, in a moment here, I'll spoon some of this rich sauce over the top. And this is the braising liquid that this meat was cooked in. And we'll just spoon a little bit over this top. And again, add as much meat as you like or not. I think that's a nice little portion, either for lunch or dinner, whether you choose to have a salad or something else with it. And then the wine that you used in the braise, why not have a glass of it when you have your dinner? So here's just some Parmesan cheese that we're just going to shave over the top with this nice little microplane. I like lots of cheese on it. Okay? And then we're going to hit it with a little extra virgin olive oil. And then we're going to have a little black pepper. And then one little hit of fresh shaved parsley on top. Make sure our plate is clean. And there you have it. This is pot roast pasta made with a beautifully braised chuck roast, pulled and shredded, then simmered in some of its braising liquid, added to either a store-bought or a fresh-made tomato sauce, some penne pasta, a little bit of shave of cheese over the top, some olive oil, some fresh black pepper. And right there you have a really beautiful meal. I've enjoyed cooking for you today. I can't wait to come back again next time with another delicious dish for you to try. I'm Chef Paul Bringas.